What is up, YouTube? The Zelda Duelist is back at you with the second episode of how to play branded despia, or branded bestial, or any other branded deck. And this time we're focusing on the branded lost package. Now, in this we'll cover what brand lost does, why it's so good and branded, any brand variant, and the potential targets you can out of it. Now, I believe I'm missing one or two of them, being... I know there's an Albaz one that I'm missing. That's an old, not Fawn of Albaz, it's the other one. But I don't own one of those, so unfortunately I cannot, well, add that in. But it's also not playable in any variant. Unfortunately, it's a cool card. Love the artwork of it. Used for a thumbnails a couple of times, but fortunately, I don't own one. So instead, we're going to use what's playable. And if I get down to it in time, I'll be doing a despia one as well. Literally right after this, so look forward to that. Alright then, branded lost. What does this do? Well, it's simple. The activation of cards and effect that include an effect that fusion summon a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. Now, I know a lot of you who slowly getting through branded, you like played a couple of matches and like, oh, of course I always lose to Ash because they Ash my branded fusion. This stops Ash. Unfortunately, no. Allow me to explain. It is the activation of your cards and effects that include fusion cannot be negated, not the effect itself. Ash Blossom negates the effect, meaning through this you can sort Ash, but it's not the end of the world because, well, Brandon so much follow-up now, you don't need to just really rely on Ash Blossom and on Brandon Fusion and Prayer. The other part of this makes it really good, is that when you fusion summon a monster, you can add one Fawn of Albaz, or any monster that mentions it, from your deck to your hand. Also, if you fusion summon, say, Sun Venom, you have its effect, they cannot respond to it. Just a fun fact for you. So, that's what Lost does. What monsters can you add off this to make it any better? Well, it's there. First thing we can talk about, it's the boy of the deck. Deck can't be played without this card. It's Fawn of Albaz. Now Albaz, when normal or special summoned, it's budget super poly, but they can respond to it, unfortunately. So that's obviously the big downside. And if they remove the Albaz, well, they negate the effect. It has to involve Albaz and one of the monsters they control. And this sucks and all. However, there's a however here. The big upside to this Albaz is branded fusion. I mentioned this in the last one, I'll say it again though. Branded fusion sends a monster that mentions a fusion monster that mentions Fawn of Albaz, meaning you have sent Albaz himself. This is why a lot of decks opt to play 2 to 3 copies of Albaz. I'm personally a 3 copy guy. I think this is a 1-off, by the way. Unless you want 3 structure decks, I'd say 3, otherwise it's 1. I am personally a 3 Albaz sort of guy because I'm a bit incompetent at times and I banish like 2 of them, like stuck with 1 in deck. I'm like, oh no. But you get used to it in the end, and slowly but surely you get better at the deck by playing more like every other deck. So yes, this is a good fight back, go second cards after you fusion summon to super fully further and extend your plays against your opponent's board that you may have negated. So I'll put that there. Next one we're going to talk about. It's another really good card that's either played at 2 or 1 copies in branded, full power branded. Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous, and no, I do not own the Starlight one, or I'd be using that here. Cartesia, well, simply put, it's very good. If you have an Albaz in your grave or in field, you can special summon this card from your hand. And it's a quick effect poly, meaning on either player's turn, you can fuse a monster in your hand or field into any fusion monster you have. And in the end phase, if a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard, well, you can then draw, and you can add this back to your hand in the end phase, remember? Very good card, and this card also gives you access to one of the best fusion monsters for branded, Grand Reganol. Put it there, we'll talk about Grand Reganol in a minute. Cartesia itself is a great add-off Lost. If you over, like, say, Rinsbrum, you have now Albaz engraved, it's free to summon, free follow-up. Why is Grand Reganol so good? Grand Reganol is very good because it allows Cartesia to be special summoned off something like Fusion Deployment. If let me quickly grab one of those while I keep talking. And no, here it is. fusion deployment. Put there. So it does something from the deck, so follow-up plays, but it also sends stuff to the grave at level 6 or higher, light or dark from your deck or extract to the grave. And if your opponent is a monster, by a monster effect, summon this, banish this, summon out any despia fusion monster from your extra deck, or a dogmatica monster from your deck. Generally, branded, you're going to go for the despia option. And fusion deployment, if you've never seen it before, let's reveal a fusion monster and special out one of its materials. It's listed on the card from the deck. This is Cartesia, summons Cartesia from the deck, extra follow-up. If I mention that. And that's why Cartesia is so good at this deck. It's extra follow-up that lets you play through Ash. It's one of the best ads you can get off Lost. Another great ad of Lost is the boy Tribrigade Macaria. I have spoken about him last time. If you missed it or you've not seen it yet, go watch it. Otherwise, a quick rundown. Hand trap to stop something like Nibiru, Ash, Veiler, any monster effects, or you have a monster that mentions Fallen Albaz, or you banish it, such any monster that mentions Fallen Albaz or Fallen Albaz itself, except Macaria. Basically, you banish it, it becomes a second effect of Branded Lost. I really love Macaria for this effect. It's a 2 of or 3 of, occasionally 1 of. I do recommend the 2 of variant, personally. Likewise with last time, Bringer and Skip. Now, this is like a Luba at home. If you're playing budget, you play 3. If not, you play 1 or none. If you have a fusion monster that mentions Fall of Albaz, you can special summon Kit from the field, like from your hand, for free, which is very nice. And then it's normal or special summon, you can add from your deck to your hand, or graveyard to hand, or face up banish to hand, any branded spell or trap. This means you can recycle branded fusions, however, you do have to put a card on the bottom of the deck. Kit is a great ad of Lost as well for extra follow-up plays. Just do be careful, Kit is a bit of a risk with putting a card at the bottom of the deck. The next one we're going to talk about is Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. Albion, well, this is either 2 different things. Either a 25k beat stick, or, there's an or here, it's Upstart Goblin but better. Why is this, you say? Well, this card always counts as Fallen Albaz on field or grave, meaning you can use Brandon White, Cartesia, well, this is on the field or in the grave. And if it's in your hand or graveyard, you can have either of these effects. By sending a Fallen Albaz or a branded spell or trap from your hand or deck to grave. If it's from hand, you now have a 25k beat stick on board. If it's from deck, put this to the bottom, and if it was from your hand that you draw a new card. So it's like a mulligan. But you can send something like Branded Opening, Branded Retribution, or Branded, or any other branded spell trap, or occasionally Albaz himself from your deck to the grave, making this card incredibly useful. Useful tool. It's always a 1/1 and it's mandatory. You don't play more, you don't play less. Playing 3, you're an absolute buffoon, I'm afraid. Final card we're going to talk about. This isn't played in Branded Despia, nor is it played in Branded Bestial. This card is played in Branded Dogmatica, Branded Sword Soul. I'll give you a couple seconds to figure out who it is. If you brought up Branded Structure Deck, you should know who this is. The Golden Sword Soul. Now, this personally is a card I'm not the keenest fan of. And it's not because I don't like Sword Souls, so I don't like Dogmaticas, there we go. It's personal taste, I don't like it. Obviously, this card is a tuner, so it makes sense. It's a Dogmatica Sword Soul card. When a monster declares an attack, special this card from your hand and negate the attack. And then if you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen Albaz material, destroy the monster that declared the attack. You know, so it's effectively a hand trap. Like Macaria, but I'd argue it's worse in all fairness. And then if a monster is banished face up, banish this card from your field or grave, push out any light spellcaster from your hand or deck whose attack equals its own defense. What options do you have of this? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure you get Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous is the main Sword Soul option. You also get the Dogmatica for the Ecclesia the Virtuous. On some other Dogma cards. There you can get Effect Veiler as a funny. Let me just check this real fast. You can even get a Cartesia off Sword Soul. So this is actually a card you could run if you wish to. It's definitely an odd one, but it can get you the Cartesia you need. And I might test this, because that actually looked to be Ash Blossom. But it is a risky card, and I do not recommend it in most strategies. And that's it. It's the video. Afraid, not a long one, because I'm filming another one. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in about 30 seconds. Ta-ta!